gentlemen, tonight is about a very different Manchester United legend. Please welcome the man who has 471 appearances for Manchester United, 127 goals, 4 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, an EFL Cup, a Cup Winners' Cup, and the European Super Cup. It's only Brian McClair. How you doing, Choccy? You right?
I think you're making those statistics up every time I'm on this, Rob.
Yeah, they get bigger and bigger.
Smaller.
It's a little flashback. It's a flashback to my wrestling days where I'm just like hyping it up a little bit too much.
No. Just hype them down.
Shall we? Yeah, like he knocked a ball about a little bit. He was half decent. One of them types.
That's it. No, they say that this is the guy who passed the ball to David Beckham, who scored the goal from halfway line, and therefore made him famous. And passed the ball 6 inches to Eric Cantona to accidentally chip the ball into the top corner against Sunderland, making him famous. And that's it. There you go. That's my career, summed up succinctly and perfectly.
So David Beckham and Eric Cantona owe you big time then, pretty much, don't they?
Maybe I owe them.
Yeah, mate. Well, maybe. Just ride on their coattails
for allowing me to be. In Eric's case, a water carrier, and in David's case, a colleague.
Sure, you were more than that. I'm sure you're more than that. How you doing anyway, Brian? How's lockdown treating you? It's been about a month since we last spoke. How you keeping?
Yeah, good. Just continuing around to do the same things. Try to abide by the guidelines. Socially distancing, doing a bit of exercising. Well, the one thing that has changed is that they were able to watch some football.
Yes.
So I did tune in right at the beginning to watch the restart of the Bundesliga, and then Serie A, and then the La Liga, and now of course the Premier League and the Championship. So there has been a more of a variety of things to watch now, and things to talk about, I suppose. Yeah. So.
Well, we can talk a little bit about football because obviously the big story, and I'd love your opinion, Liverpool winning the Premier League. What do you think?
Well, it was a certainty that they were going to win it pre-lockdown. A lot of people pre-lockdown were saying that they would win it at Goodison. So I suppose that as a Manchester United supporter, you would be happy that their pleasure had been delayed, albeit for a few more days. And it was interesting when you watch. I watched the Chelsea City game, which I thoroughly enjoyed as a game of football. I thought it was very entertaining, considering what you have to do now with regards to football and no crowds. And I thought it was a cracking game of football. Lots of excitement, lots of talking points, and you probably couldn't have got a worse night with regards to being a United fan in that Chelsea who were very much on the back foot after that wonderful free kick from De Bruyne. Just some things happen, don't they? Out of nothing, City are totally dominating. They look as if they could go on to win the game, and prolong the agony for one side of Liverpool, and anyway, it was a good game. It was a nice goal for nice finish, nice penalty. But at the end, it couldn't be worse. As I said, that Chelsea extended their gap between that 4th and 5th position, and Liverpool also clinched their first title in 30 years.
Yeah. No, at least you're not one of these salty, bitter Man United players. Because Jamie, bless him, he's not happy at all. I think that's probably why he's not come on today, because he's really he's not happy about it in any way, shape, or form.
Well, you become entrenched in it, and I'm not happy about it. I knew it was going to happen. Having said that, if you'd have told me in 1987 when I first came down to Manchester that we'd be in a situation here now talking about such events, and that had been 30 years, or would be 30 years before, I think any United fan considering how many titles and things that we'd won at the time, would have been very much chosen the situation we're in now. So you want the best team to, and nearly always is the case, the best team that will win the league.
Yeah.
You know, you can have sometimes you can get poor teams that can win cups because they just rise to the occasion as they step through that process. Nearly always the best team wins the league. And with regards to playing football and entertainment, you can't take anything away from Liverpool in that regard. They've been the best team to have that kind of record and to win it with, and it's a record in two different ways, I suppose. One way that it's been a record in that nobody's won the league in June. That's down to the circumstances, and also with 7 games to go. So you got to give them praise where praise is deserved, and potentially
they have been
over
an
the last few
entertaining team
seasons.
to watch, haven't they? They have been really.
Well, I mean, it pains me to say that if you were they have been entertaining to watch. Any team that plays on the front foot, attacking football, scoring goals, yeah.
So on the final thing about Liverpool, then Brian, Andy Robertson, obviously young Scottish footballer now. He's been phenomenal this season. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, I think he's a great example of. I was talking to somebody the other day. He was asking me about football and football careers, and very, very, very few football players, with some exceptions, have a career that kind of starts kind of at the bottom and then kind of goes in a whatever kind of straight line. You know, most of it's a roller coaster ride, bumpy, bits up here, bits down there. Andy Robertson was at Glasgow Celtic as a young lad, you know, and they let him go when he was, I'm not sure, in his teens, and they let him go from far as I know because they said he was too small to be a professional football player. So I think when you look at what he's achieved, and again he left there, he went to Queen's Park playing part time. The last amateur club to be playing in professional football went to Dundee United. I remember someone going to Dundee United at the time from Manchester United. I think it was Warren Joyce, and he went along to see a few players that they had that were doing well at the time, but Andy wasn't one of the ones that was mentioned. He came back and said, "Listen, these players are quite decent. The other ones that young players they've got, but this left back, I think we should go and have a look at him." Now that was nothing to do with the academy. That was to do with the first team. And then he left Dundee United and went to Hull, and then there's been no looking back from since then. He's gone on to win a couple of things at Liverpool. He is the captain of the national team. So I think if you look at the history of his career and the sense that he didn't accept the fact that someone had told him at a young age that he wasn't going to be a professional football player, and worked, and he worked very, very hard to get himself into the situation he's in, and he deserves a huge amount of praise for that, and I'm delighted for him.
Yeah, it's testament to character.
Should be looking at him, and he should be looking at him to say, well, this is not always, as I say, my experience has been. There's a couple of notable examples, Ryan Giggs and probably Wayne Rooney, who have started from 15 and they've just went up and up and up and up and up. And I suppose in world terms, I would imagine that. No, maybe not Ronaldo so much, because when he came to United, he had a difficult time. Maybe Messi, you know. But as I say, that I think he's a wonderful example. He seems like a very decent lad, good character. So yeah, and then you want Scottish people to be successful. So.
But it's quite nice, to be honest with you, to see young British players coming through, because there's all that the talk of like the young British players, certainly English players aren't getting it up, but then you've got a lad that's proved it can be done. So there's nothing stopping anyone else doing the same, is there?
No, I think that's a smashing point, Rob, is that various different circumstances have allowed young players in prominent football teams in certainly throughout the world, probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will continue. That young play. I mean, you're watching the game, the Chelsea game, Chelsea versus Manchester City, and you see the Mason Mount, who has appeared in just about every single Chelsea game this year. Now, what you need to have brave coaches and brave managers. You ask any player, when did they make their debut, and what were the circumstances around that? Normally, it's because there was a need, there was a space available. A player in that position had been injured. A player in your position was suspended. A player in your position was ill. A player in your position was out of favour because of various different things, and the manager had very little choice but to let you have a go. And then it's down to the player, and quite notably in Andy Robinson's, Mount's situations, Greenwood, I suppose, and has always done very well. I think when he's appeared for Manchester United. And then it's having that faith to let them have a go. I mean, they're continually talking about it in the commentary from Stamford Bridge the other night about young players have been allowed. But that set of circumstances were dictated by the rules and regulations of the game. Chelsea were found guilty of infringing those rules. It was imposed upon them that they couldn't sign any players. So Frank Lampard was left with choosing and encouraging young players who he'd already had with him in his spell at Derby. So he knew all about them. He was confident that they were capable of stepping up, and they have done, and they'll go on to become not only very good players for Chelsea, but probably for England too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I could include, there's a lot of young players, as you were saying. I'm thinking of like Alexander Arnold. You got Maddison at Leicester. You got Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea. There's a lot of these young players who are actually starting to come through, which is quite exciting. Which brings me to a point, because last time we spoke, we were talking about Scott McTominay, and you said if he signs for Manchester United, he can go on to be a great. And in that previous month, he's now signed to 2025. Like, what did you think when he put his name down? He's committed himself to the club. Surely must be buzzing.
Yeah, well, you want good. I mean, Scott's good. I think Scott's proven that he is a good player.
Yeah,
he is a dedicated professional who, again, as I mentioned before, works hard, and he is coachable. I mean, coachable in the sense is that he listens and takes on board advice, good advice from the people around about him.
Yeah.
And I can only go on to see him becoming and he's got all the other attributes available. He's got good physicality about him, and he's got seems to have again good mental strength. He seems to be particularly humble. He's intelligent both in academic sense and in a football sense. I think he speaks very well. He has a good understanding of the game. Very clearly, he wants to be part of a team, and he's willing to do whatever is necessary for that team to be successful. One of the things that tickled me again the other night when he went back to centre half is sometimes a lack of knowledge that the supposed pundit has, in that they were suggesting at one point that he'd be a little bit out of water playing centre half, whereas actually he's been a centre half virtually all of his development football career. It's only latterly that he's played midfield, and I mentioned years ago that I could see him being. It would be good, possibly very, very good in midfield, but I could see him being the same kind of centre half, and at the same echelon level. They talk about Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not impossible, is it? I mean, he's potentially being pegged as a future captain. For my money, to get a contract like that, to them to put the faith in him, he could be being pegged as like this guy's getting the armband at some point.
Well, Yeah, that is a possibility. It's just great that he's more than happy to sign for
Yeah.
Manchester United, which he's clearly shown that he is devoted to, loves playing, he's a fan, and he just wants to be part of the fabric of Manchester United for now and for the certainly quite a considerable time in the future.
Good. Right, we're going to go to a few of the questions now because obviously there's a lot of people watching it and they're getting their questions in. So in no particular order, Stevie Park says, Choccy, what was the best goal that you ever scored?
See, that's when you've got so many things to choose from. Even at one point you would, and it changes as you travel through your journey of life. And I've got to the point in my life now where I can't choose one. One thing I can say about goals is that having seen several of them replayed, a lot of them were very, very close to the goal. So I'm not saying I scored many, people would say, spectacular goals like De Bruyne scored the other night. Well, what I can tell you is I've never scored a bad goal. And how I look at them now is that I look at them as a collective, as a whole body of work, and they're all as important as each other. And I think it's unfair to pick one over the other, you know. And so I'm so pleased to have so many to look at and so many to consider, but I can never choose one particular goal.
That's a nice way of looking at it.
Not at the moment, anyway.
No, it was like choosing a favourite child, I guess, isn't it? Like you've got 127 goals for Manchester United that led to all these trophies and all that success. And, you know, your name is cemented in the legacy of that club. I think that's a nice way of looking at it.
Well, it's nice to look. I mean, if my career, I used to dream about being a football player, daydream about being a professional football player when I was a young person, 13, 14, 15, when I was walking to school. And I was just thinking about this the other day, not even this morning. In fact, it was that what has happened to me in over the last 40 years. My God, 40 years is surpassed my wildest dreams.
Yeah.
You know, the goals are part of that, the games are part of that, but all the other adventures that I've been on are just incredible. You know, so. As I say, as you get older and more distinguished and hairier in in some places, you know, I've got hairier ears and hairier nostrils than I ever had. You look at things in a different way. So I can't choose one particular moment and say, well, that was that. You know?
It's fair. Hey, try this one then. Kaya has been on. Hello, Choccy. It's Mandy, Peter Wood's friend. Who was your favourite United player that you played with and most admired?
Well, there's quite a lot of things in there. There wouldn't just be the one person. I mean, the best player that I played with, I think that had a huge influence on me and my success and my continual sort of career at Manchester United was Norman Whiteside.
Oh yeah.
Norman Whiteside was a great player, a great foil for me to have, and very, very intelligent, great football player. I would always say that Norman's the best player I played with, even though at the time he was probably pretty broken and almost, well, not that long after that time he actually finished his career in football finished. But when you get someone who is going through and he's one-on-one with a goalkeeper at Highbury at and he rolls it to the side for you to tap in. You think, well, he's not a bad player, this guy, you know. It's like very much that he, you know, other players that I've played with would have and did shoot in their careers, which I'm not blaming them for, because that's a lot to do with what happens. But Norman Whiteside would be a particular thing. Talk about admiration. I mean, I admired and all of my teammates because you want to be part of a team, and you needed to have a respect for them. You needed to trust them. You needed to have respect for them. I didn't mean you had to like them, and that would be you would expect that to be reciprocal. I think it was very very important that you trust your teammates.
So like a working environment, I guess, like an office environment. You have to just get on with the people that you're working with for the mutual success.
Well, I don't remember anybody stealing anybody's stapler. I don't remember anybody bringing any stationery into the or taking pictures on the photocopier or like that, you know.
That'd be like me and Adam.
You trust. Well, maybe
Yeah.
if you talk about an office, I mean, I know their office was mainly on the training pitch, was quite vast.
Mm-hmm.
But for quite a lot of the time, like for first thing in the morning, till we all departed, we were in a very small, intimate room really together, where there was no hiding anything really, you know. So yeah, you had to kind of go on, because there was only there was a fire escape as well. So I think thought it was only one way out, where there was a fire escape. But depending on which part of the room you were located in, you know, you always had to make sure you were going to get out, just in case somebody completely lost their rag with you, because what you were doing thought was a bit of banter, and what they thought was the opposite of that, you know.
Fair enough.
It's a good question.
Stevie Park again. How many players do we need to win the league, and who are they? I think we need a centre back, right winger, and an out striker.
Well, I think they could forget about the numbers we need. I think there's still another couple that could be added. One thing it's important, I think, to clear up and establish at some point is that Paul Pogba is a world-class player.
Yes.
He's proven that. He's not been consistent enough for Manchester United for various reasons, whether it's to do with illness, injury, other kind of distractions. But he's a world-class player. I would like him to stay at Manchester United, but he has to declare he wants to stay at Manchester United. If he stays, I think that's a big part of it, and he wants to stay and get rid of all this speculation year in and year out. The other thing is to win the league, and this is where Liverpool have been a huge advantage. City have had for a number of years is you need to have a player, a goal scorer who will score you 20 league goals, a minimum 20 league goals. Liverpool have had two. Over the last 2 years, I've basically have two. But you need to have at least one who will get you 20 league goals. Now, the one that's got a proven track record in the Premier League, in Premier League football, English Premier League football, is Harry Kane.
Yes.
So I would say that he would be the one that anybody in a similar situation. Aguero's just got injured for City. He's been, and give him huge credit. He has been written off for 3 or 4 years now, and still come back and done very, very well. Are they? Because there's only a few clubs I think that can with the Harry Kane would probably go to, and I think that Manchester United should be the priority to sign Harry Kane. He's got the pedigree. He has got the record. He's got a lot of other good things going for him, and I think he'd be the number one to look at that. If you got him, I would say that you're guaranteed to finish in the top 4 next season. Yeah, that's for me. There might be other situations where people debate about the goalkeeper, David De Gea, who's been wonderful at Manchester United. Do you bring Henderson back, and is there more competition? I'm not quite sure. That'll be up to the powers that be. I think we're not too far away. Maybe another couple. And you need to have competition as well. So maybe another couple of players. Centre half, probably. I said 2 or 3 years ago. In fact, I said before the last World Cup that Manchester United should try and sign Varane at Real Madrid, because I believe that he would have been the one that was available, would have been available before France won the World Cup. As soon as France got to the World Cup, Real Madrid are not going to let him go. So yeah, I would agree. I would say that a centre half, of which I don't have a particular name at this juncture, but Harry Kane would be my priority.
Rob Stocko has weighed in on the situation. He goes, "What do you think about Jack Grealish and Sancho in the summer?" So obviously Grealish is a big debate with Man United, like whether he's going to work there or not. What do you reckon?
Well, as I said again, going back last summer, that the two young players that I liked in the midfield were Maddison and Grealish, and I said I would have taken both of them. But part of that for me is dependent on what happens with the midfield players that are there. Well, the midfield player, so it depends on what happens with Pogba. It seems that that Grealish is the one that United may be more interested in. I'd be quite comfortable taking him. Yeah.
There's a lot of talk that he's just waiting for it to happen now. Like Villa are pretty much going to go down, and he's just waiting for the call. Oh, Benji here. Benji Smith's back on. Grealish isn't a United type player. So there's still that element of debate there as to whether he's going to fit in or not.
Well, I mean, that's down to the one. Sometimes it's down to the player, you know. So if you're saying that United, I'll give you an example. Like, he's not a United type player, and different things that can happen. Paul Parker, who had a good career at Manchester United, playing right back. Paul Parker was a centre half. He played centre half all the way through his development years, and he played centre half for Queen's Park Rangers. Paul could jump. He's not the tallest of lads, but he had a good spring on him, and he's very, very quick. So playing next to Alan McDonald, for example, at Queen's Park Rangers, Alan McDonald was the strong, dominant kind of person for the tackling and competing in the air. Paul Parker was the one that would pick up the other player for speed and for sharpness. When Paul Parker was coming to Manchester United, he was told by the manager, "Yeah, you'll play centre half, right back." Put him to right back, and he played a few games as half, but he played right back. Now, if you look through a load of players that played throughout that period at Manchester United, you can't just pigeonhole them in, well, that's that type of player and they're this type of player. Grealish, I think, has done an awful lot in that he has almost transformed one team himself at times. So you have to take what he's got and bring him into a group that we know is better than Villa's players, because we can just tell with a number of points difference. That's not being critical of any of the Villa players. That's the way it is. I think Grealish coming in there where he knows he's going to play all the time for Villa. He comes to United, he knows he's not going to play all the time. That then creates a competition for him. Does he want to? And he has to then step in and say and show the manager and the coaches every day that he wants to be a player and he wants to be the. So I'll be comfortable with him. Yeah. And I think I said it ages ago that when we're in this kind of situation 2 or 3 years ago, is that I would like to see more. I'd like to see players, of course, coming through the academy system, which there are a few now. But I would like to see. I said that I wanted Manchester United's recruitment policy to be more based on young British players.
Yeah,
more predominantly would be English players, but young British players. And I'm happy that they're considering Grealish or Maddison or Sancho. Sancho, I've not seen enough of him to really have a definitive opinion about him, but he is a good player.
Yeah, okay. I like that mentality, because Man United have always had that strong core of British players, like from all the way back, almost like Busby Babes and before. There's always been young British players coming through at Manchester United. It's quite nice to see that still happening, and young, good British players as well, not just because they're young and British, but actually young, good, talented players coming through.
Aye, but you history. I mean, it's not changed yet. From what I can see, would suggest that if players go to a club like Manchester United, young British players, they want to stay there as long as they possibly can. They've no yearning to go to any of the other so-called big clubs. And that's not to say that they wouldn't be tempted if other big clubs were interested in them. I've said previously that if you go back to McTominay, I think McTominay could be a target for Barcelona, because Busquets is coming to the end of his career now. I think he would fit in perfectly to that Busquets role. Hopefully that won't occur. But in the general sense, general sense, most young players that come to Manchester United want to stay there and want to stay there as long as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm saying about that. But there's other players that come in that you can sign from, because you need to have whatever the good players are, and you whatever nationality they are, then you should go and get them. But I still think the core part for me should be is this rebuilding process, if that's what we're going through, or a step up process. He can probably be more sure that their heads aren't going to be turned by any other suggestions or any other clubs supposedly being interested in them.
Colin Parks put a good question in. They said, what do you think persuaded Scott McTominay to play for Scotland instead of England? And do you think he made the right decision? Now, I think I can guess what your answer is going to be. But
because he's Scottish.
Yeah, his name's Scott McTominay. I don't get much more Scottish than
that. He's Scottish. He's Scottish. He's always felt Scottish. He was born in England, but he's always felt that pumping around his body is Scottish blood. That's how he's always felt. And the supposed one of the differences was that at the time, Alex McLeish, who was the Scotland coach manager, Scotland was snowed in. There was you couldn't get out of Scotland, and all over Britain, I think actually at that particular time that Scott came to the became more prominent with regards to international selection, and he made the effort and managed to make it to a face-to-face meeting with Scott, as far as I'm aware. To just have a chat with him and see what he's thought. Scott's feelings were, and allowed Alec to then tell him what he thought. Gareth Southgate sent him a text message. No, I'm not saying that's a definitive, but that's what I'd heard.
That's the difference, though, isn't it? Okay, I've got a question.
Yeah, go on.
I'm going to say, going off topic a little bit, Roy Keane on Sky the other day was very, very critical of De Gea, Maguire. What did you think when you see Roy just going both barrels on TV about Man United at the moment? What did you think to that?
Well, first of all, when you're employed, which you're employed by Sky or BT or the BBC or ITV, and you're employed in to do a certain job, one of the things that's clear is that the expectation is for you to make give your own opinion, forcefully, and also at times to be controversial, I think, to say anything like that. Roy has always said what he thinks.
Yeah.
And most of the time, Roy's backed up by his own example. So when he was a player, he would tell players what he wanted, what he expected. And that was a huge part of the success that Manchester United had when Roy was playing and when Roy was captain, about the demands of being a professional and the demands of being a Manchester United player. Now that he's in the situation that he's in now, it's refreshing because for me, he's just telling the truth about what he feels at that particular moment. And it works very well for television. And I think I assume that it's very entertaining for the people that watch it, and that's what TV want. They don't want people to be sitting and giving you banal, unremarkable comments, and that passion. I suppose it's showing the passion he has for it, and that he's looking at the game as he would look at the game as he did when he was playing on the pitch. So he's what are his expectations, and they're his expectations, having played with really, really good players. And he said, I think it's valid what he says, and it's entertaining.
Well, the reason that
And
I'm
he's
mentioning
being forthright.
yeah, it is refreshing. I think you're absolutely right. And the reason I mention it is because obviously Superstar Speakers, we've got 5 exclusive dates with Roy Keane across the UK and Ireland. So like, I really want people to get the impression that he says that kind of thing on camera, but when the cameras aren't rolling and it's live, you're going to get that same level of honesty and refreshing opinion that you don't get from many other pundits.
Well, you're not. That's Roy. That's what he's
Yeah.
always done, and he's comfortable speaking, and he's comfortable defending what he says.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many people can. When you look at the analysis of what he said, he's not wrong with what he said. Really, he's disappointed in the effort and the subsequent goal, the effort that De Gea had in the goal, and he was disappointed in. Well, he mentioned a few things, and you look at it, take away it's Manchester United, and if you're talking just about analysing a football game, any coach would be disappointed if one of your defenders isn't emphatic in heading the ball as far as he could away from the danger zone. So first of all, the defender doesn't head the ball far away, or it's a bit tentative, and then there's a subsequent offence after that about how other players don't do whatever they were doing, and he's right what he said. Any coach would analyse it probably in a very similar fashion. I mean, like if you taking that away from a different thing, if you're Manchester City's coach or any other coach, and you're looking at what happens when they lose a goal against Chelsea, you'd be raging about what happened. That's basic errors, really basic errors from top football players. So I suppose another way around, anybody looking at them should be encouraged that whatever age they are in a journey through from very young children through to even to top professional football players, they make mistakes in this communication, and you can very, very quickly turn from being in a dominant situation to being a goal down. And Roy will be exactly the same as he is on that. He's not pretending. He's not going on there. He's not acting as that. It's Roy Keane, and that's what Roy's always done. And I think that's brilliant that he's comfortable and in saying what he thinks is right.
The key that I think you said there, Brian, was that he's comfortable defending it as well. Like if someone challenges him on it, he will state his point and he'll articulate it properly.
I mean, he's quite comfortable. I mean, he's happy enough to be the people have opinions. He mentions he talks about that quite a lot, saying it's his opinion, and other people can disagree with it. He's happy to be involved in a debate about it. But if he's made up his mind about it, then he's made it the same way that he's not going to be there to, if he's discussing something with Carragher or Gary Neville or any of the other people he's on with, he's not there to change their minds. He's there to say, well, this is what he thinks. He's challenged them to say, right, you prove me wrong. He's not turning out and saying that he's absolutely right. But the thing about him as well is that it's good to see someone who's happy to criticise his ex-team. And I'm sure that he would criticise Forest as well, and I'm sure he would criticise Celtic as well. Is that I think that probably not enough of them who are on are for whatever reason maybe a bit reticent to say anything about their ex-club. He's no, and then including obviously the clubs that Roy managed also. But he has just an idea. He has this whole thing that he should be talking about what Roy Keane thinks, and that he's got to be admired and respected.
Absolutely right, and we're really looking forward to those 5 dates. Just to reiterate, we're going to Dublin, Glasgow, Nottingham, Belfast, and London. So literally a proper UK and Ireland tour with the great captain himself. Are you missing the events, Brian? Obviously, you've done a lot of the Manchester United Legends events with us. Are you missing the events and getting to meet and greet the fans and the whole everything that entails?
I think that during this period, you reflect on things you that were comfortable with, things that you just took on a day-to-day basis that you didn't realise you enjoyed.
Yeah.
It could be simple things like I suppose simple little things. So having that ability to if somebody stops you in the street, you're not thinking about if they want to recognise you and they want to ask you a question, you're not all of a sudden right away thinking, "Whoa, you've got to be 2 meters away from me," and have you got any? And it kind of changes your kind of view on things, and you kind of look at it and think, well, yeah, you appreciate what you enjoyed, and look forward to hopefully participating in such things again. And I think it was only the week before lockdown that we had done 2 or 3 events. So in a way, we were like, all of us, I suppose, were putting all of us in risk because there was no social distancing
No.
in any of those events. There was a wee bit, but not really so much. And so in that period of time, we came in contact with an awful lot of people. It might be a bit different depending on what happens with as we travel through this journey. But you want to be part of that because it's enjoyable, and it's what's enjoyable about it is seeing that the people enjoy it, seeing other people happy for that brief moment to have a picture taken with someone, or having a chance to speak to someone or ask a question that they may have wanted to ask for a very short period or over a very long period. So yeah, you do miss them, yeah. And hopefully they'll when things are safer for everyone, they'll recommend, and they might even be better because if you miss it, I mean, for me, there's loads of concerts that I've missed because they've been cancelled quite rightly. Now I will hopefully next year take place and I'll be able to go to them. I think we'll still have the same kind of mentality about social distances. I think it might take a while before we maybe never get it back to maybe that will be the norm.
True.
But yeah, but they're great to take part in because the joy in just one person's face of getting a picture taken or getting a question answered in that they've been keen to ask is great. And
it goes back to what you said earlier on, like
doing that as well.
We are very, very lucky to be able to do this. Like, for me to do this as a career, I'm the luckiest man on the planet. The fact that I'm a small part of making those things happen it's phenomenal, and I'm missing it like crazy. It's insane.
But you're just missing rearranging the indelible ink pens.
Well, there is that, yeah. That's the best bit. I'm missing being stuck in a van with Adam for 3 hours at a time as well. That's always a treat.
I won't ask any pertinent questions about that.
Do you know what he did to me last night, right? I was in the office for a couple of days and I had to go and take a delivery to a lad who lives in Milton Keynes. And Adam gave me the wrong address and sent me from Mansfield to London, which is a long way past Milton Keynes. And I had a tyre blowout and it took me like 5 hours and 250 quid's worth of new tyres. So like, I'm proper calling him today, little monkey.
Yeah, but you got to look upon it as you had an adventure.
Yeah, I could say that.
And that was essential travel.
Yeah, well, it was essential when I had to get back home after being in London.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in Scotland. We're a little bit behind about the rules and the advice in England. So we're not allowed to go further than 5 miles for recreation. But there is no recreation apart from walking, so I don't know where anybody's going.
They got some beautiful scenery up in Scotland, though. To be fair, you could walk for
Yeah, there
miles.
is that, but it's
Gorgeous.
you can't get to the mountains in
No, 5 miles.
You know?
No, I suppose not.
Yeah, no. So we're looking forward to sort of travel restrictions to be lifted. That's the one thing. Yeah.
It's
Although I
coming.
know that people start. Yeah, but people need to be. I mean, if you look at the photographs of Bournemouth Beach over the last couple of days, people need to be more responsible. That's
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
not going to get us anywhere, you know.
No, that's the thing.
I mean, it's but if you're going to allow people out, then they're going to go, aren't they? You know, maybe not. Might not have been as I read. It might not be such a good idea, and I don't know what possesses you to wake up in your Solihull or your Handsworth house in Birmingham and think, right, what we're going to do? Let's go to Bournemouth Beach, which apparently, according to reports, people did. Yeah, good idea. And then let's drive all the way back again.
Oh, right. But it won't be them that pay for it. That's the thing. They'll get away with it scot-free.
Well,
It's always
they pay for it. I mean, it's like the same for the local people having to clear up. I mean, it's just having to clear up. If people are going to go and find a bit of greenery to have a social occasion, and it doesn't matter what age you are, it'd just be nice if the end of it and finishes at a reasonable time that they just cleared up.
Yeah, it's not hard.
And I think there's been lots of evidence to suggest that hasn't been the case, you know. So, and sometimes you do. I can imagine that these people are desperate for the weather to be poor, you know. So, there's no, you know. I can imagine anybody that lives anywhere near to these places praying for rain and thunder and lightning, you know. So.
Yeah, just to get a bit
I
more
look
peace.
forward to going back to the. Yeah, and I look forward to going back to the events if assuming that they're going to be they were going to be in the calendar for next year. Just have to just take our time. But we've been patient. The huge majority of people have been patient all the way through this. Continue to be patient for a period of time longer. It isn't a great hardship considering the alternative.
Yeah, and it's only been 3 months. Like in the grand scheme of things, 3 months is nothing, is it? Really?
Well, it's nothing when you get to my age. But if you're a teenager, then 3 months is a hell of a long time, and I get that because I can cast my mind back to what it's like there, and particularly if evidence suggests that they're not as vulnerable a group as other people, and as teenagers, they're always going to be more adventurous, I suppose. But let's just hope that through all of this that we continue to have an improvement in the situation, and that everybody gets back to doing what they're employed to do, and hopefully that's the majority of the world, not just the country, you know.
Absolutely right. Here's a question for you. On a lighter note, Gaz Hake, what is the best United shirt of your era? And I'm going to suggest it was this one, because I think this is the possibly my favourite United shirt. And I sent you this picture after the last interview.
Yeah,
But what is your favourite Manchester United shirt of your era?
That's my favourite Manchester United shirt of this year.
It's amazing, right?
And it's pretty unique, that one, for various different reasons. I'm kind of between two. The green and yellow Newton Heath, and the black one with view cam on. I think that was in yellow.
Yeah,
the one that Eric was wearing when he slipped into the crowd and somewhere in London. They would be the ones that I would probably go for as in my time. Yeah.
Is there any reason for that? Sorry.
No, I just liked them.
Simple as that.
I liked. I like. There's a team photograph of the black and yellow one. We were all done up like players from the Newton Heath era with their hair greased back,
And the moustaches.
and all different things. And I thought that the manager's got a flat cap on. I think it's a brilliant picture. And I think the strips, I just liked the strip, just colours that I liked. And the black one I thought was, black one as well.
You don't see many black
they
football kits.
They were the two that if I did. Huh?
You don't see many black football kits, do you?
I think it may have been the first one. I think that.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I can't say it's the first one. I just thought
traditionally it's the referee in black, isn't it?
Yeah, not now. It's not, though, is it? So.
No, not now, but like before it would have been.
Yeah. No, that was that. I'd go for one of those two.
Cool. So you're not one of these people that's like real collects a shirt, because we've had Wes Brown on before and he keeps his old shirts. He's quite proud of the memories that he has of, like, say, Champions League shirts or FA Cup shirts. You're not attached to them in that way.
No, there is a thing, attachment to shirts that have got a special memory for you. I mean, the difference in my time was that, well, certainly if you look at it from Wes had been part of that kind of thing, they swap shirts every game.
True.
We had to. It was almost. Well, it wasn't. It was very difficult to get a shirt. You got a shirt at the end of the season. It was a bit easier when names came onto the back of your shirt and the shirt was changing. But before that, they would reuse the shirts for lots of different reasons, and you wouldn't necessarily get any. So it was only really when the names came in, and even then, it was like you try to get a shirt out of Albert Morgan, who was a kit man, was not easy at all. I think that. I think if anybody's looking for anything, Albert's your guy. So,
yeah.
I think Albert somewhere will come out with every single strip by every single player at some point as his own personal collection. It might be an exhibition in the Louvre of the Albert Morgan collection.
Just have like a Brian McClair shirt hanging over the Mona Lisa. Just there you go.
Yeah,
just covering
like that. Yeah, me next to I don't think it'll be me. More like it'll be somebody that was good.
You were good, Brian. Don't give me none of that. You were good, and you know you were. We're going to squeeze in one more question before we let you go, Choccy, and it's from Mandy, and she says, "What is your favourite Eric moment?"
My favourite Eric moment.
Aye.
I think that there was a favourite Eric moment. I suppose that there was a dinner. I think it might have been in Edinburgh. A dinner in Edinburgh where we were having an auction, and Eric didn't say very much. I mean, when he did say something, it was worth listening to. And we're having this auction for different things, like maybe you said a strip or a ball or a program or something like that. And Eric, I don't know where he got it from. Said, "Excuse me, can I just say something to the compere?" So, "Oh yeah, of course, Monsieur Cantona." And he stood up and said, "How much would someone offer to sleep with me?" And there was quite a demand for it.
I can imagine.
On the floor. Completely from nowhere, they're like, just looking at him going, okay. Now, I can't say if that came to the end of that particular thing, but there was a few bids when it came in, yeah, quite a few. And they weren't all women.
I was going to say, I can imagine Jamie would have put a few thousand in for that one. He'd have been right on that.
Great question, Mandy.
Yeah, fantastic, that one. And a great answer.
It's not a nice memory. It's not a nice memory in my head, eh?
I tell you, Summer, I can't see Roy Keane doing that when we've got him for 5 dates. I can't see him joining in.
Oh, well. Yeah.
And you wouldn't want the criticism afterwards either, to be fair, would you?
I don't think Eric is ever disappointed.
No. Let's leave. That's probably the nice political answer there. Well, they say when the seagulls follow the trawler. Well, I'm going to say when the seagulls smell fish, but let's we're not going to go there. Right.
Okay.
Right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to time. As always, it's been a complete and utter joy, Brian. Thank you so much for giving us your time this evening. Thank you to everybody for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian McClair.
Thanks, Rob.